Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Race Bros podcast. My name is Garrett.
And I'm Drew.
And we're going to be talking about the race weekend at Phoenix here today. And then at the end, we're going to be talking a little bit about Martinsville. So stay tuned. So we'll start with the Truck Series race. What was your overall opinion of the Truck Series race, Drew? We have a lot of opinions about that one, but
Let's see, we haven't really watched a lot of the truck this season, but I do want to. I want to watch a lot more because even on iRacing, I find truck to be a lot of fun. Now, this weekend was kind of a shit show.
embarrassing.
But, yeah. But you can't blame one accident on the whole field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's tough to be like, okay, we got to reel it in, but where do you, like, do you start doing penalties? Do you start, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, actually, Kyle Busch said something like that. He said that NASCAR should start giving penalties for, rough driving, reckless driving, and things like that. And that's saying something coming from Kyle Busch. So, I think the first incident over the weekend in the Truck Series was the first big incident, I think, was when Hocevar got into Corey Heim and spun him around. We'll go ahead and click and watch that clip real quick here. So this was the incident here. They were racing hard. Corey Heim's in 6th. Hocevar was in 7th. Really close racing. And then going into the corner here, I think Hocevar just overdrove it and got into the 11. Not a lot of damage, but obviously Corey Heim was upset with that. And obviously, I mean, he has a right to.
Yeah. But also, Hocevar is the one right here getting mad, right?
Correct. Yep.
Because he was mad that he wrecked him, right?
Correct. Yeah. I don't think he wanted to. I don't think it was intentional.
He didn't mean to. And I don't think it was intentional at all. I think that was just racing, and it goes especially here where they drop below that line and it upsets the dog leg upsets the car. Just like you can see it, and then he just gets that much little. I wouldn't even call it overdriving because that's almost where that car should be when if there was a car in front of him or not.
Yeah.
Now it's one of those where I think it's more of a racing accident than it is fuck you, I'm getting you out of the way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and Heim's apex didn't look different or wrong or anything. It didn't look that egregious, and Hocevar's didn't either. I think it was just two guys racing hard and they got into each other.
Yeah.
So yeah. Moving on.
And that's also one of those where how many laps were left at that point?
Let me see.
25 to go.
Well,
still.
hold on. That was a different part.
Oh, was it?
It was okay. You were close. 30 to go.
30 to go.
30 to go.
You still have to survive to win. Winning's what comes of it.
Yep.
So even if he delayed it just a bit to survive the car, to get to where he needs to be, was it 30?
I was checking to see if that was what stage. No, it was 30 to go in the whole race. I was checking to see if maybe that was a stage, but it was 30 to go in the entire race.
Okay.
So I wanted to confirm that.
So yeah, but also at the same time, it's 30 to go. It's time to shit and get. You
gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And Hocevar is known to be aggressive, and he's had several run-ins this season with other drivers. He's trying to learn from it. He's got a lot to learn before he gets in the Cup next year, because those guys aren't going to put up with it. But I think he'll be fine. Overall, I don't think that
Hocevar's getting in the Cup.
Hocevar's going to Cup. Yeah, he's driving the Spire 77 next season.
Does he drive Xfinity?
He does not. He has raced a few Xfinity races, but he's never driven.
So he's going from truck to Cup.
Mm-hmm. Several drivers have done that. Not a lot, but there's been a few over the years. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yep, truck to Cup. I mean, when he ran a few races this season in Cup, and he performed well
as a different a fill-in driver.
Yeah, he was like subbing. He subbed, I think it was the 42 car. When Noah Gragson was suspended, he drove that car several times this year and did fairly well. So I think they liked what they saw, and that's why they wanted to move him up. So no, the next part was what followed after, which was Corey Heim getting into Hocevar. Like I said, I don't have a big clip of this. It doesn't show the actual accident, but it shows Hocevar on the wall. It should be coming up here.
So this footage doesn't show it?
It doesn't show the initial contact. It just shows the 42 here. He's in the wall.
Oh.
This was when the 11 washed up the track, according to what he said. He just kind of washed up. He said it wasn't intentional. I don't think he's fully telling the truth. But what's your opinion?
I think he's full of shit.
Yeah, that's what I think, Tim.
I was watching it. I saw that. Because I remember it. And because immediately he's like, that's fair. Because he was getting his payback.
Oh, here it
right
is.
here.
It did show the replay. Okay.
Yeah. Look, he's drove him up the wall.
Yeah.
And unless you can actually like tell that something like got loose in the car.
Yeah, they might be able to go back. I don't know. I mean, I think Truck has SMT data. They should. They can go back and look at that and see like. Well, here's a good shot.
Well, did you see how he was a little
shaking
loose,
the wheel a little bit? Yeah.
But
I think it could
the
go
timing
50-50.
of that,
yeah,
the timing of getting a little loose. But you could also,
and it's Hocevar on the outside.
but you also know where that limit is in the car, and you're like, oh, I could push that limit even farther right now,
yeah,
and push him into the wall. Now this is the controversial thing that everybody is upset about this weekend, though, is because it makes everybody look like idiots when you do something like that, especially when it's the final race of the
season.
Yeah, and they're both like, he wrecked them, and they were both in the final four. But to get payback while you still have a chance. There's time to go, like 30 to go.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he wrecked the first time, you still got a miracle that could happen. Anything goes the last lap, so you never know. But it's not very professional.
No. Well, and a lot of people on Twitter or X or whatever you call it, they were upset. They said it was the most embarrassing race in probably the sport's history. I think I agree. This reminded me a lot of, this is controversial, but this reminded me a lot of Matt Kenseth versus Joey Logano. That was when Logano turned Matt, and Matt didn't hit the wall. He just, spun out, flat spotted his tires. He had to come in, and then he wrecked Logano at Martinsville. Flat out took him out. I said for years that wasn't equal payback in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Logano didn't destroy Kenseth, but then Kenseth destroyed Logano at Martinsville and put him in the wall. And I'm not going to say that Heim, I don't know, because it could go 50-50. He may have been loose and he may have washed up. But if he did wreck him intentionally, I don't think that was warranted. The contact from Hocevar wasn't intentional, and his truck was still fine.
And
he had slight damage, but it wasn't anything that was going to take him out of the race.
Actually, the third incident car that was in it had the most damage. And like his whole back was like really fucked up.
I think that was Stuart Friesen in the 52, I believe.
But and then on the payback, everything won't be equal, especially when you get payback.
Yeah.
But
Tippers are flared.
But to put out both cars, just like, oh, if I'm not gonna win, and you mess me up, we're not gonna win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those. But as far as embarrassing for overall, I think it is. It's embarrassing to him. It's embarrassing for his team.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's embarrassing for the sport. I mean, it is to a certain degree, but it could have been worse. Where, because I've been watching a lot of videos about the tire wars and stuff like that. Now, when you show up and the whole field is having problems with a certain problem on the car, or like the tires are wearing down because they're not made for whatever. Now, it's been forever, I think, since we've had anything where like we've had the whole field had problems like that, right?
Yeah. I think maybe a couple years ago, Goodyear had some issues with tires where it was like they could only go like 15 laps where they were shredded or something. But
yeah,
it's really rare.
There's
really,
certain
really
tracks
rare.
that will do that too.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that is like breaking for the sport, though.
Yeah.
But
So we'll just play a little segment here.
Is it a movie? Is that with John Travolta? Oh, sorry, I never watched it. I'm thinking of the one with John Travolta where he like can make things move with his hands. Phenomenon. That has nothing to do with right now. The question was, why do I like Rich Lucius? Oh, I like Rich Lucius because he just stays calm, cool, collected. He makes some crazy pit strategies, and I hate him for it in the moment because I gotta like drive my butt off. Then by the end of the day, it's like a net gain. So I'm like, all right, I kind of love you. So yeah, he makes these crazy pit calls. It's good. He makes trucks that are comfortable. I'm sorry. That I can charge the corner with. That's a good thing. So we start. I have tried to drive looser and looser race trucks and just get more and more out of the race truck here recently. And it seems like the more we get out of them, the faster we go. The whole field is going faster.
All right, so that was a short clip. Drunk Ben Rhodes, congratulations to him on the championship. He's a 2-time champ now in the truck series. He did this last time he won the championship. He got hammered right before going into the media center.
how soon after the race is this?
I'd say probably within an hour.
So he's
hour or two. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know those details like that. I'm not 100% sure, but it's within the hour or two, I'd say, after the finish, after getting out of victory lane. So he's been chugging beers in victory lane up to this point. I like Ben Rhodes. That's kind of controversial, but I think he's funny, and I think that these moments here are good for the sport. It's a good laugh. It draws people in, stuff like that. What do you think?
It kind of depends on what you want out of a driver.
Mm-hmm.
For turn your, how do you know? Where's it coming out of?
That's good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like it depends on what you want out of a driver. Sometimes it's good to have these little moments where they're not just these professional drivers that are top tier and like they actually have a life to them, and
they're people.
They're
real people
instead of just a driver to everybody. I feel like a lot of people will connect to that, especially a lot of NASCAR fans. There's a bunch of beer fans that are NASCAR fans, so
yep. We've seen a lot of those at Martinsville last weekend. So.
Definitely. But yeah, like I don't think it was a problem. He didn't say anything bad. I don't think
it's funny.
So.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
I don't know what the press thought. They were very quiet.
Well, you know, the press, they're really close to the drivers. They're there every weekend just like they are. I saw a couple tweets from like Bob Pockers and stuff talking about it. They always think it's hilarious, stuff like that. So, all right. So the Xfinity series that races on Saturday. Cole Custer, he's the champion. Drew's favorite driver, 00.
The 00, baby.
Got it done. Go ahead and watch this clip here real quick. So this is the final lap. He's out front. Allgaier is hot on his ass. Wasn't able to get it done.
Allgaier was coming, though.
He was. He put up a good fight. I feel so bad. I love Justin Allgaier. He's such a great racer. I wish he was able to get another championship, but Cole Custer definitely put up a good fight, and he had a great season this year. Yeah, he got it done. I think this here was the checkered. Yep. Come across the line. Got it done for old Smoke. Tony Stewart was there. Got to celebrate. What's your thoughts?
Well, we've been watching a lot of Xfinity recently,
mm-hmm.
and I told you towards the beginning of the season that Cole Custer is going to be probably my favorite one because he runs my number, the 00.
Yep.
But also because he's running hot. He was doing good, and I've been following him this whole season, and he was definitely something to look for. And even he at Martinsville, we went and saw him, and he was doing great there, even with some trouble or whatever. And luckily was able to come into the final four, even driving backwards.
So I like that you mentioned that. I think that move there is what won him the championship.
Definitely.
Throwing it in reverse and getting across the line, that's what got him that championship.
Not only because you got across the line before you lost the amount of points or whatever it is, but to have that mentality of, oh, I got wrecked. Fuck, I'm done. I can't. Or it's whatever the car, you're doing your best to get across that line.
Do whatever you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do, and that's what he did. It. He drove across the line, stopped 5 feet behind it, and that was it. Like
Yep.
I didn't know for a minute until after they figured out the whole mess that he actually got in, which it was even that whole race through Martinsville. We were back and forth like, oh, these guys might get in. Oh,
Yeah, it was.
like it came down to literally the last lap of who's going in and who's going home.
Well, I remember there was times where like you were like, oh, Custer's out and Allgaier was in.
Or Allgaier was out.
Allgaier was out and Custer was in. And then we
or
got
both
to the end,
of them,
and they were both in.
They were
Yeah.
both out at one point,
Yep,
and
yep.
because the leader, in
Was
which
Hill, wasn't
it changed every. I don't
No,
remember.
it was Sammy Smith. That's who it was. The 18. He was leading there, and that really shuffled everything up.
Yeah,
And then he wasn't able to get up to the front at the end, or I think he might have got collected in that last lap rack. But
Yeah, and it literally, like, the momentum of that whole race was literally awesome until like the last 6 laps when they had the red flag.
that was the longest red flag I've ever sat in going to a NASCAR race. It was.
And then even the 6 laps after, or the 3 laps after, because it was
The
green, white, checker. That was like crazy because like it had the craziest finish that has happened in a while. I think.
Yeah.
Or at least that I can call offhand. But
It's definitely one of the best finishes, in my opinion, in all of NASCAR history. It's one of the best ones. It's not the best one, but it's one of them.
I'd say it's up there.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. My opinion, 2012 Watkins Glen is the best NASCAR finish, but that's debatable.
And then not only with Cole Custer winning the championship, but like I said, like the whole Final Four, even at Martinsville in the last race, you were like, it could go either way.
Yeah.
Like the Xfinity Series is really fun.
The Xfinity Series is where, but that's where the real racing happens. Xfinity is the best, in my opinion, in NASCAR right now. Maybe next season that'll change. NASCAR's going to do some work on the Cup cars in the off season. Fingers crossed. But yeah, Cole Custer, he's a champ.
Damn right.
So, Cup Series, finished up watching that probably about an hour and a half ago, something like that. One of the things we got to talk about, it's been a thing most of the season, is the durability of these cars. Austin Cindric, he hit the wall and broke his toe link. Wasn't even that terrible of a hit. And then Christopher Bell's brake rotor exploded. Luckily, that didn't happen to anybody else. But what are your thoughts on the Cup car's durability?
Well, all season long we've talked about how certain things in the car that we want to change. Now, how the toe link durability, how you can change that, I'm not quite sure. But I know there's been multiple times where that toe link has broke this season, right?
Lots of times, yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's a big hit, and sometimes it's something that, back in the day, you'd hit the wall and the car would be fine. You go pull the fenders out and you go back out there and try and win the race. And now those small hits that before weren't that big a deal are a big deal. And, the announcers can say, oh, these cars are so durable. They do that every week, and it pisses me off because they're not.
Well, I think what they're talking about is not even the car itself, just the body.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, because it bounces off or it won't tear up. But there's been plenty of times where like the wheel well is like broken down into the wheel and
Yeah.
scratching that. That's probably what happens the most to the body. But we saw at Martinsville where they were pushing and shoving, and yeah, that body hold up, but that was just straight on contact. It wasn't like they were hitting the wall. And other like, it's not the outside of the body that we're concerned about unless you're at Daytona or at Talladega.
Yeah, where aero matters.
Aero
Place
really
where arrows
matters.
matter. Yeah.
Which it does to a certain degree, but when it comes to racing, you can still figure out a way to do it. But yeah, the toe link, definitely need to figure out a way maybe to increase the durability of it, or make sure the bolt only breaks instead of the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they were talking about it in the race about how, like, it depends on the angle of the hit. Because the way I understood the toe link, and I could be completely wrong, so don't quote me, but it's like a bolt that holds basically in place the part for the toe link. And that's what breaks is the bolt itself, not necessarily the other components holding the wheel onto the car or anything like that. It's just the bolt in the middle. I don't know if they need to use a different material or what it is.
Or
but,
different metal or whatever.
Yeah. Or if they need to do a complete redesign of the whole rear end, which I know they don't want to do that, but it's getting ridiculous. I mean, Daniel Suarez, we were right in front of, we were in turn 4 at Martinsville. So we got to see that accident with Daniel Suarez was involved, and he was beached on the curb, and he couldn't get off of it. And then when he did get off, the whole ass end was fucked up. He couldn't drive the car straight.
Yeah.
His day was done. And I remember we were there watching it. It wasn't that hard of a hit, and that car was fucked up.
I didn't even see it like his hit because I was looking at that was when Ty Gibbs got.
Yeah, that was the Ty
around.
Gibbs incident. Yeah, when Logano spun
And
him. Yeah.
I was more of like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna be hurt or done.
Yeah.
More than I was with him, but there was a lot of smoke there. I probably missed him hitting.
Yeah, when Ty Gibbs spun out, he put a lot of smoke out on the track, and it was hard to see a lot of what was going on.
Yeah, but still, it's just they keep talking about how strong these cars are, and it's not the outside that counts; it's what's under, and
What's
that
under the
will
hood
hold
and
the
under the
car
body.
together. Well, not even just the toe link, but look at how much they've had to change the cage of the
the roll
car,
cage? Yeah,
the roll
from Larson's
cage.
hit. Yeah, at Talladega.
Larson, and was it this year or last year that hurt?
That was like 2 years ago. No, it wasn't. It was last year, I think.
Yeah, because we went.
Yeah,
to
it was
Michigan
last
and he
year.
wasn't
It was
there.
last year in the beginning of the season or mid-season. He got involved in that crash that unfortunately ended his career.
Yeah.
They did make some changes to that since then, luckily, and then they also changed the roll cage after the Larson hit. And then I don't remember if I saw anything, but I'm sure they did. They made changes after Priest's rollover at Daytona. That was when he barrel rolled like 30 fucking times down the backstretch.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they made anything because of that.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything for
but
sure.
I do remember that there was multiple weak spots before where they either angled the cage a different way or added a bar here or there, removed a bar to make it less stiff in certain areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what they did with the Larson incident. They added another bar to the lower part of the roll cage and some more support to keep cars from going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, I mean, there was more. So the passenger side and the driver's side, they aren't exactly the same. If he would have got hit on the driver's side, I don't think it would have came through. There's more of a roll cage on that side. I mean, it still could have. You never know. But luckily, he got hit on the passenger side.
And you're talking about where the door opened up and there was all the foam falling out.
Well, basically, Priest's nose went through Larson's passenger side door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it caved it in. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But and then Bell's brake rotor.
Mm-hmm.
Now that one, it just shattered today, right?
So yeah, I don't know if that necessarily has anything to do with quality of the parts, but they've had issues with this before earlier in the season. If the brake rotors get too hot, eventually they just explode. They shatter into a million pieces, and then his day was done. He was out of the championship race over a part failure. Nothing he could do. It just sucks for him and his team and everything. But luckily, no other drivers had issues with that today. None of the championship 4 anyway.
Yeah, which makes me kind of wonder if it was whether he just pushed the car too hard,
Could be.
or if just one brake failure where it just happened to be that one part wasn't as durable
As
or
durable
whatever.
as the others, yeah. But yeah, there was a race earlier in this season. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but they had multiple brake rotor failures. I think it was Darlington, where that happened. One of the brake rotors shot up into the stands or something like that. I don't believe anyone was hurt or nothing, but this definitely isn't a new thing. I don't know if NASCAR's going to look into it in the offseason or not, but yeah.
Also, while we're at the Cup, I'm talking about the car itself, the one lug, because I know you absolutely hate this.
I hate the one lug for multiple reasons. Yeah.
Now, NASCAR has stated that it is quicker or safer or whatever it was.
They say
right?
it's safer. They say it's safer than a 5, according to them.
But I don't know how that would be, because only for the fact of with the one lug, it's on or it's off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And even if it's you got that one lug and you mess that up, it's over. Like, you can't really fix it, or hopefully they come around in that one lap and it holds on there. But with the lug, 5 lug, you can mess up 1 or even 2 sometimes, and it won't come off until the next pit stop, or
you might have
come back and fix it.
Wheel shake or something, but it's not like you're gonna lose the whole wheel.
Yeah,
mostly. Yeah, the one thing I think could be why that they say that the one lug is safer is because of the diameter of the lug itself. Instead of having 5 small lugs, you have 1 giant lug. I could see how maybe the diameter plays a role into that.
So it takes off. So to take it off, it has more torque.
Yeah.
Like if it was in an accident.
Yeah.
Instead of just snapping the 5 lugs that were on it.
Yeah. And even if it is safer, I mean, NASCAR kept saying, "Oh, we're trying to make the car more like the showroom car," and yet we're going further and further away. The Gen 6 was as close as we had ever been since probably the 80s, in my opinion. And then now they're doing 1 lug. There's no car that races in NASCAR that comes from the showroom with 1 lug that I know of.
Is there any car that you can get that are 1 lug?
I think there might be supercars or something out there that might have 1 lug. I'm not 100% sure, but no Chevrolet, Ford, or Toyota, to my knowledge, has a 1 lug that you can buy off the showroom floor. I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, there isn't one. They say one thing and they go another direction. So I don't know what the answer is there, but I mean, NASCAR's seems to be pretty happy with this Gen 7 car so far. Maybe not with the short track package. They better work on that over the off season, because North Wilkesboro was a disaster, and Martinsville wasn't that great either. They were all single file when we were there watching. There was still some passing and stuff. It wasn't that bad, but it definitely isn't great. But yeah, NASCAR's motto, well, it wasn't really NASCAR's motto, but it was something that everybody used to say: win on Sunday, sell on Monday. You see the car win on Sunday, you go to the showroom and you can buy it. It ain't like that anymore. And I know it ain't ever going to go back to that exactly. We can't pull cars off showrooms and race them on the track, but we can get a little bit closer to that. It don't have to be, 100% like it used to be, but I think we could make it closer. Like I said, Gen 6 was as close as it ever been, and I love the Gen 6. It's my favorite of any NASCAR generation since probably the 80s.
And I also think that a little bit of it is that overall, like, at least in America, there hasn't been a lot of like public racing now. Like, we've kind of died back on that, I think. Now, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of shows and different areas that do that, but even since high school, I've noticed that there's been a lot less like street racing, at least in our area. But
I think NASCAR, everyone says NASCAR's dying. I don't think NASCAR's dying.
No,
NASCAR is still very popular. They're great. I don't think they're as popular as they used to be, but they're not dying. NASCAR's going to be fine. They're going to be here for a long time. I don't like when people say it.
I don't think we're dying at all. No, we might not have always had the same viewership because a lot of the older audience might have like moved on or isn't with us anymore. But definitely I feel like can carry down to people who actually give it a chance and like don't just shrug it off or whatever. But
well, that's why NASCAR's doing all these different races to try and cater to a younger audience. The Clash at the LA Coliseum, it's a cool event. I like it. They're having the Mexico Series there this year, which will be really cool to see, something different. And then also the Chicago Street Race. They're trying to get a more broader audience because NASCAR's not a Southern sport anymore. It needs to be a worldwide sport. And drunk rednecks aren't cutting it anymore, you know? So we got to get younger people to watch, and that's what they're trying to do.
You're really pulling the gun out, aren't you?
What do you mean?
The drunken rednecks, that's going to hurt.
I mean, is it not true? When we go to a NASCAR race,
To be honest, probably three? I noticed like three that were definitely like. Now you might have some fans that definitely don't like a certain driver, but it might not be as bad as it was. I think back when I was a kid. I don't think.
probably not. It's not as bad as it used to be. I mean, we saw the Kyle Busch as a douchebag guy. We'll
Yeah,
put a
but that
photo
was
up on the screen.
I don't think that was, you wouldn't call him too much of a redneck. That was just fun.
You didn't see him on Sunday, did you? Shirtless walking around?
Okay, he was a little bit more redneck on Sunday.
And then you didn't see the guy that me and my grandma saw when we were in the hot dog stand, waiting in line at the hot dog stand during the Cup race.
Mm-hmm.
This dude, he had on a cheetah print robe, cowboy hat, and he had on these weird cowboy boots. He was a strange fella. He was real nice, though. He was taking pictures with the fans, but some of them are still a little redneck. Nothing wrong with it, but some of them are still a little redneck, and NASCAR wants to branch out. So,
Yeah, I don't know about doing. Now the Chicago Street Race, the racing kind of was,
yeah,
I didn't.
it was a cool event. I liked it. I liked that Shane Van Gisbergen won it.
Yeah. But it did bring in, it was a big viewership over the whole thing, which definitely helps get more people interested in NASCAR, and
Yeah.
more people actually figured out that we don't just run in a circle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's one thing we always hear when we say, "Oh, we're NASCAR fans." Oh, they're making another left turn.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that as much anymore. We have a lot of road courses.
we got a lot of road courses, and then you just got, well, hell, even Phoenix, you got, it's all turning, but it's like longer and shorter. It's not
a
just,
unique track.
it's not just like the oval, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even like the tri-oval, it's still an oval, but you got a little bit more, you notice it a lot more when you're driving it,
Yeah.
that it's not just like going around in a circle,
Yeah.
which a lot of the non-NASCAR fans think of.
Yeah, it takes it's a lot different of a skill level for Phoenix. Like, we've driven on iRacing, and it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Ryan Blaney, he's the 2023 Cup Series champion. Really happy for him. He's from the Buckeye State, which is where we're from, which is awesome. His dad, Dave Blaney, drove the Bill Davis 22 Caterpillar car for a long time. Always loved that car. He had a little bit of a challenge during the race. I don't know if he let it get to his head, or he was just a little bit frustrated. The car wasn't doing what he quite wanted it to do. He was mad at Kyle Larson, and he got into it with Ross Chastain a little bit. But overall, I think he had a good race. Well-deserved champion. Really cool. It's the first time he's ever been to the championship four, and he won it all.
That's
really cool.
That's good.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, one, being it's your first time and you won it means that you prove that you should be there.
Yep.
And anybody who says that he's lucky or whatever, he got the trophy to prove it. I don't remember a lot of his racing throughout, because I kind of get focused on my drivers or whatever. But it's definitely a well-deserved win. Now Blaney had to win to get into the Final Four, correct?
I think so.
And then
I think he did, yeah, because he had to pass Amarola. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had to win to get in.
And then he won to get into the Final Four. and then got to here and won today. Well, he didn't.
Well, he
didn't win.
finished second.
He finished second, but he won the championship.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Ross Chastain won.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. They never even showed him celebrating on the broadcast. So.
Yeah, no, not until afterwards. But yeah, his car wasn't what he wanted it to be, I don't think, and I don't think most of the cars were where everybody thought they were this
Especially
weekend.
Larson. Larson struggled all race. He just couldn't get it done.
And then getting in it with Chastain, he thought he was just a better driver, or a faster driver. Not, I wouldn't say better. I mean, he didn't win today, but it's one of those where like, hey, I'm trying to do something here. Let me get by, or like, why are you racing me this hard to because he's in the final four. I don't know if that got to him and like really pissed him off, but that allowed Truex to catch up and then had to battle it out. But he stayed up with it. He calmed down. He had to do what he did and finally got it home.
So last weekend we actually went down to Martinsville. We were able to go to both the Xfinity race and the Cup race. What a weekend. It was so much fun. Xfinity race, we got to sit in front of the flag stand. We'll put some footage up so everybody can see it. Hell of a finish to the Dead on Tools 250. It was well worth the damn red flag wait. I think it was like 30 minutes we had to wait, something like that. It was long. I didn't time it, but it was a long time.
Yeah.
It felt like it was forever. And then the Cup Series, racing was okay. Not a lot of passing. It was hot. It was hot on Sunday. But Ryan Blaney got it done. He was able to get that win to get him into the Final Four. What else?
Well, with the Xfinity, it was like I said, the Martinsville race was like, it was close, it was dramatic, it was like we were back and forth. Oh, this guy's 2 points down, the other guy's 2 points down, or like vice versa. They're 2 points above. We need to figure out who needs to pass who. It was very exciting at the Xfinity race at Martinsville.
Yeah, we were right in front of the Jumbotron.
Oh yeah,
which
like
was nice.
yeah, we could tell the numbers and we knew what lap we were on. Seeing the flag man be like, "Hey, we're going like 3 laps left or whatever."
Yeah, giving his signals.
Yeah, getting his signals down, and I'm like, that was cool. And just being in front of the finish line, just for the finish was
it was well worth it.
Worth it.
Well worth it.
We didn't get to see them do the celebration at the end.
No, I was so pissed about that because the wreck happened on the front stretch.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's oil leaking, no problem. Just clean it up afterwards. It's not gonna hurt anything. And then they pulled the tractor with the with Victory Lane on it down into turn 1, and we didn't get to see it. I was really disappointed. I never got to see Allgaier win in person, and I really wanted to see his Victory Lane celebration, but it's only a minor nitpick, not too bad.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, it was amazing. It was the perfect race.
It literally
probably
was
the best race I'll be to in a while, because everything there was just lined up perfectly.
Best race I've ever seen.
Because you and me, I was going for Cole. You were
I was going for Allgaier. Yep.
And at certain points, I'm like, oh, he's getting in and Allgaier's out, and vice versa. And then all of a sudden, Allgaier came out of nowhere and took the lead for the last lap. And then there was a big wreck. I lost Cole Custer until he turned around backwards. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know if he got in or not.
Yeah, he was in a ball of flames coming across the line backwards. Ricky Bobby style. Loved it. It was cool.
And then, now who was the 2 teammates that got into it?
So that was Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed.
Yeah.
That was something.
Mm-hmm.
So but knowing at the time, but Sheldon Creed broke apart on the car. So that came out later.
Mm-hmm.
So Sheldon Creed broke apart on the car. He did not slam on his brakes to wreck Austin Hill. So when that part broke, it slowed his car down. Austin Hill rear-ended Sheldon, and then the 20 rear-ended Hill, spun him out, and that's what caused the wreck and allowed Allgaier to get up to the front and do that photo finish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Andy Petrie came up on Twitter and he apologized. I think he was on Race Hub actually, but he apologized. They said they went back and tore down the car and he broke apart, and it wasn't that that he slammed on the brakes on Hill intentionally.
That's his crew chief?
So Andy Petrie, he is competition director for Richard Childress Racing. He used to be a crew chief there. I think he was with Dale Sr. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he was with Dale Sr. at one point. And after the race, he approached Sheldon and yelled at him and got upset with him and all that. And then he later apologized. And then Richard, of course, I'm an RCR fan, so I'm a little bit biased, but Richard said that Sheldon was the dumbest driver that's ever drove for him and all this and that. And it wasn't an ideal situation,
no.
But
I don't think anybody wants to be put in that situation, but
no,
I mean,
no.
It is what it is. It was also Martinsville, one of the most, dump and run.
It's Martinsville, and it was a cutoff race. What do you expect?
It literally anything happened, especially that last lap.
Yeah.
But it was definitely well worth it, even just for the Xfinity race. Now the Cup race, I had fun. I enjoyed it, but it was way more boring than the Xfinity race.
I think that it would have been better, in my opinion, if we just had those jumbotrons.
Yeah.
I would have been okay with the race if we had the jumbotrons in turn 4, where we could see. The jumbotron was in the middle of the speedway, and I needed a pair of binoculars to see it, and so we didn't know what lap it was on, what stage, who was in what position half the time, especially when they got all spread out and then they started lapping everybody.
Yeah. I had the radio on, and we had no service.
Yeah,
to
no cell
connect
signal.
To NASCAR.com. We didn't have barely any signal for the front, probably quarter of the race. Like, I couldn't hear the radio at all. It was all staticky and whatever. It finally came in. So that helped a bit, but still, like, when you guys went and got the hot dogs and were gone for like
an hour,
ever, I was literally just like watching these cars go by, and I'm a big fan of NASCAR, but like I started getting lost.
Yeah.
Didn't know which lap we were on, where we were going, like who needed gas, who didn't, like
who needed a hot dog. Richard was in the infield selling hot dogs.
Yeah, like I was like, Richard's selling dogs. But I mean, it wasn't a bad race.
No, it wasn't a bad race.
No,
it wasn't a good race, but it wasn't bad either. It was just
neutral.
Yeah. And that's what's wrong with the current state of NASCAR, is that Xfinity race is better. The Busch League is better than the MLB or the NFL. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So. All right, so that was the first episode of the Race Bros podcast. I want to thank everybody for watching. We're going to try and do these whenever there's news, and also after each race weekend next season. We're going to try and do a podcast every Sunday night. It'll probably go out Mondays, where we talk about everything that happened over the weekend for all 3 series, maybe even ARCA. It depends on what happens. If there's big news, we're going to try and talk about it. We also do more than podcasts. We also do sim racing. We do racing every Saturday night with Midwest Motorsports. We upload those videos as well. You can see the full race, see our POVs for what we're driving and everything. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're everywhere. But if you liked what you see, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Nope.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.